we now get to move into a chapter. It's finally out, well, I wouldn't say outside of that circulatory system. There's still involvement here, okay? But we are now into our lymphatic and immune system. One that everybody's probably thinking a whole lot about right now, about this time of the year. When we look at this chapter, well, this chapter has a lot of interesting components to it. A lot of the stuff you've probably heard about. I'm sure you guys have heard about tonsils, adenoids, lymph nodes. We've mentioned the thymus gland, all right? We're going to get into this to see what happens. Now, your textbook is going to get into much greater detail than what I am, okay? Because it's going to go through all of these IGFs and everything that the body makes. Well, if you were going into this, then yeah, okay? I just want to keep it at a level that we understand, and if you need to get further into it, I'm sure when you get into your field, the doctors and nurses you work with are going to help you. But overall, this lymphatic system, the reason that it's going to be important is because the vessels that are in this system, just like vessels of the blood system, they're going to run almost beside blood vessels that we have in the body. They also are going to start in the tissues. Now, think about that for a second. Circulatory system ended in the tissues. My lymphatic vessels are going to start at the tissues. It's a little different. These vessels, they're going to be found in almost all areas of the body. We're going to see that we're going to have this collection and these tissues, these organs, their job, immunity, immune cells. So we're going to be now thinking about those white blood cells. The functions of the lymphatic system, fluid recovery. These vessels start at the tissue level. They are starting at the level of the capillaries that have just brought in materials and picked up waste. And in the process, the goal is to make sure we balance fluid in the body. So, fluid, the stuff that's in the blood, the stuff that's in the tissues. We just learned that we're going to have blood flow to these capillaries, to the tissues. However, of the fluid that is brought to the tissues by the bloodstream, it only recovers about 85%. What did I just finish telling you guys? What do I need to make sure? What situation do I need to make sure my cells are in? Which one? Isotonic, hypertonic?
Isotonic.
I need to make sure those cells are in isotonic condition. Wait a minute. I'm now telling you only 85% is recovered by the bloodstream. That means every single time the heart pumps and blood flows, 15% stays behind. Can I have that in my tissues? Can I have every time the heart beats and something comes to those tissues, leaving 15% of the fluid behind?
Apparently
No,
so.
because now I have not kept my cells isotonic. I kept them which way? Hyper or
Hypertonic.
hypo?
Hyper.
I kept them high. I can't have that. It's now up to my lymphatic system to absorb the rest. These vessels run almost side by side with my blood vessels. And they start at the tissue level. So one of the biggest things about the lymphatic system, fluid recovery. The second, immunity. Wait a minute. Isn't this the lymphatic and the immune system, but immunity comes in second? Yeah. Why? Because the fluid that it picks up is what it's got to clean. So this fluid that gets picked up by the vessels at the level of the cells, we're picking up a small amount, only about 15% at the level of the tissues. It moves very slowly. This is not a flow like you're going to see with blood flow. So it picks up the fluid, anything else that might be in it, foreign cells, for example, anything that could be dead cell parts, it could be viruses, whatever the case might be, chemicals that might be present, anything that was in that fluid at that tissue from those cells. That 15%, roughly 10 to 15% that it picks up is going to go into that vessel. The fluid that it picks up is going to begin to pass along the lymph vessels, and as it passes through the lymph vessels, every lymph node it encounters, it passes through. So the fluid that's picked up by the lymph vessels in my big toe, as it makes its way back to the heart, because that's where it's going to go, as it makes its way back, it flows through every lymph node it encounters. Let's think for a second. Lymph node. What's in the lymph node? Well, they're reticular, so they're like this webby structure.
I think it's T cells.
This is where the T cells have been sent after they have matured in my thymus glands. This is the point where my T cells are after going through the thymus gland and maturing. So, in that lymph node, in that reticular tissue, T cells are sitting there. Fluid's coming through. Is it mine? Do I get that one? No? Okay. And it's just watching the fluid come through. And if it's needed, it's called up. So, by the time that fluid that got picked up at my cellular level, because here's my lymph vessels in green, in contact at the cellular level where my capillary bed was, and it's picking up materials, by the time it returns to the blood flow, because it has gone through every single lymph node, it is super clean. So I have now returned fluid that is super clean, cleansed of anything that could be foreign to the body. Does that make sense? So now it is fluid recovery, immunity, because it sent the fluid through the lymph nodes.
So will your lymph nodes swell when you get sick because more T cells are there?
This is why when you get sick, a lot of times lymph nodes will swell because they are, it's going to be B cells for the most part, but yes, cells are dividing to help fight whatever invader has come in. It's kind of cool if you think about it. All right? The third thing we need the lymphatic system to do, lipid absorption. This is done with what's termed lacteals. Dietary lipids, fats that we consume, okay? When we look at this absorption, they're not absorbed by our blood capillaries. They're going to actually be absorbed here with this system, okay? So, fluid recovery, immunity, lipids. The premise behind cool sculpting. Any of y'all ever heard of that?
All over the radio.
Have you ever wondered about it?
Nope.
That it just goes somewhere else in your body. It doesn't actually go away.
Okay, first time I heard about it, I was doing one of those, what? Well, y'all know me, okay? What do?
Google it.
I go talk to them. And I'm like, I got one question. What is the factor that you're telling me you dissolved? Oh, it's going to be absorbed and you're going to urinate it out. And you are actually getting away with telling people this?